If you're searching for the keys to unlock wealth and freedom, you're in the right place. Let's open the vault. Most people think they understand success. They chase after strategies, books, mentors, and routines. They believe success is something you do: wake up early, hustle hard, think positive thoughts, follow the steps. But what if I told you? Napoleon Hill hinted at something far deeper. Something he never fully revealed to the public. Something invisible, yet powerful enough to shape your reality from the inside out. See, Hill's most famous book, Think and Grow Rich, is packed with principles about desire, faith, persistence, and the power of the mind. But beneath those principles lies something he only ever whispered about in passing. He called it an unwritten law. A force you can't see, but you feel it every day. It's the hidden law of success, the law of assumption. Hill knew, though he never dedicated a chapter to it, that what you assume to be true about yourself, your life, your limits, becomes true. Not through magic. Not through luck. But through the way assumption controls your subconscious decisions, your energy, and ultimately your outcomes. Think about this. How many times have you failed before you even started, simply because you assumed it was impossible? How many dreams did you shrink because you assumed you weren't worthy, capable, or lucky enough? This law is running in the background of your mind like hidden software. And the people who master it, they don't just achieve success, they become it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to unlock this forgotten key, and how to finally turn your assumptions into your advantage. You might wonder, if this law is so powerful, why didn't Napoleon Hill write an entire chapter about it? Why didn't he stand on a stage and shout it from the rooftops? The answer is simple. Some truths can't be taught directly. They have to be discovered within. Hill understood human nature better than almost anyone. He knew that if he handed people a step-by-step formula for success, most would follow it blindly, without ever questioning the deeper beliefs running their lives. But the law of assumption? It's not about steps. It's about who you are being beneath the surface. Hill hinted at it when he wrote about autosuggestion. He danced around it when he spoke of faith. But he never explicitly told people, you are living the life you assume you deserve. He knew this law couldn't be forced on someone. It had to be realized through personal experience, through reflection, through awakening. Because here's the harsh truth. Most people don't want to believe they are responsible for their reality. It's easier to blame circumstances, the economy, their upbringing. It's harder to admit, I have been assuming the worst, and that assumption shaped my life. Hill wanted to protect people from misunderstanding this truth. Because in the wrong hands, this law sounds like fantasy or denial. But in the right hands, it's the master key. The moment you begin to shift your assumptions, about yourself, your potential, your worth, you begin to shift reality itself. And in a moment, I'll show you exactly how to do that. But first, let's understand why this law is hiding in plain sight, running your life whether you see it or not. Look around your life right now. Your career, your relationships, your bank account, your health, all of it. Every piece of it is a reflection of something deeper. Not your intentions. Not your goals. Your assumptions. This is what Napoleon Hill understood, but couldn't say outright to the masses. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't get what you want. You don't even get what you work for. You get what you believe is already yours. Your subconscious mind is like a mirror. It doesn't argue. It doesn't question. It simply reflects back to you the world you assume is real. If you assume wealth is for other people. If you assume success is out of reach. If you assume love, health, happiness are things you chase but never truly hold. That assumption quietly becomes the architect of your choices, your habits, your actions. You settle for less. You hesitate. You self-sabotage. And you don't even realize why. Hill understood that most people live inside a prison of their own assumptions. A mental box built not by society, not by their parents, but by themselves. That's why he wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But the hidden key is this. Belief doesn't come from wishing. It comes from assuming it's already true. This is why some people succeed so easily while others struggle endlessly. It's not luck. It's not timing. It's assumption, quietly writing the script of their lives behind the scenes. Once you see this, you can never unsee it. And once you master it, you can rewrite everything. Let's make this real. Think about a time in your life when you felt truly confident. Maybe it was something small, answering a question you knew the answer to, walking into a room where you belonged, handling a task you'd done 100 times before. In that moment, you didn't hope you could succeed. You didn't wish you'd get it right. You assumed success. And because you assumed it, you acted differently. Your body language was stronger. Your words were clearer. Your energy was magnetic. Now flip it. Think of a time you doubted yourself. When you assumed you'd fail, assumed you weren't good enough, assumed others would judge you. What happened? You hesitated. You second-guessed. You showed up small. And your results reflected those assumptions. Napoleon Hill knew this pattern ruled people's lives. He wrote about definiteness of purpose because he understood that people with strong, positive assumptions act with clarity and boldness. They walk through doors others don't even notice. Their assumptions create momentum. And momentum creates opportunities. But here's the problem. Most people don't examine their assumptions. They don't ask, what invisible stories am I telling myself? They move through life on autopilot, driven by old beliefs they inherited from childhood, culture, past failures. And then they wonder why nothing changes. You can't outrun your assumptions. You can't outwork them. You have to rewrite them. When you assume success is natural. When you assume abundance is your birthright. When you assume your dreams are inevitable. Your choices, your energy, your results begin to align with that truth. This isn't theory. This is psychology. This is how your mind works. So how do you change it? How do you stop living from old, unconscious assumptions and start creating new ones, powerful ones, ones that serve you, not sabotage you? It starts with awareness. You can't change what you don't see. Most people walk around carrying beliefs they didn't choose. Beliefs about money, success, love, health, possibility. Handed down by parents, schools, culture, failure. And because they've never questioned these assumptions, they mistake them for facts. But they're not facts. They're just stories, running in the background like outdated software. Napoleon Hill hinted at this when he spoke about autosuggestion, the practice of deliberately feeding your mind with new beliefs. He knew your subconscious mind doesn't care what's true. It only responds to repetition and emotion. The more you repeat a new assumption, and the more you feel it as real, the more your subconscious begins to adopt it. This is where most people give up. They affirm something once or twice, don't see instant results, and quit. But the subconscious doesn't work on quick fixes. It works on consistency. Reprogramming your assumptions is like planting seeds. At first, nothing seems to happen. But beneath the surface, change is unfolding. Start paying attention to the assumptions hidden in your thoughts. Notice the language you use, I always. I never. I can't. That's just how it is. These aren't facts. They're choices you've been repeating. And you can choose differently. Begin to tell a new story. Act as if the assumption you want is already true. Because eventually, it will be. Up next, I'll show you how to build these new assumptions into your daily life, so they stop being just ideas, and start becoming your new reality. Changing your assumptions isn't about one big moment of inspiration. It's about small, daily practices that gradually rewire how you see yourself and the world. This is where most people fail, not because they're weak, but because they don't understand how slow, invisible change really works. Napoleon Hill talked about autosuggestion for a reason. He knew that words repeated with emotion have the power to shape your beliefs, and beliefs shape your results. But here's the part most people miss. It's not just about repeating words. It's about embodying the feeling of the assumption. If you want to assume you're already successful, you need to start moving through the world like someone who already holds success in their hands. Not arrogantly. Not blindly. But confidently. Calmly. How would you think? How would you speak? What decisions would you make if you assumed success was inevitable? These are the daily shifts that create new neural pathways in your brain. This is how you train your subconscious to accept new assumptions as reality. Here's a simple practice. Each morning, ask yourself, who am I assuming myself to be today? We don't act according to who we are. We act according to who we believe we are. Start small. Write your assumptions down. Say them out loud. Picture yourself living from them. And then, throughout the day, notice when you slip into old thinking. Gently bring yourself back. It's not about perfection. It's about persistence. Little by little, your new assumptions will take root. And when they do, your reality has no choice but to follow. In the final section, I'll show you why this practice separates the 1% from the 99%, and how it holds the key to unlocking everything you've been searching for. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people will never apply this. They'll hear it, they'll nod, they'll think it sounds interesting, but then they'll go right back to living by the same assumptions that have kept them stuck for years. Why? Because it's easier to blame the world than to take full responsibility for your inner world. It's easier to say, it's the economy. It's my boss. It's my past. It's my circumstances. Than it is to admit, it's what I've been assuming all along. Napoleon Hill knew this. That's why he wrote about the 98% and the 2%. The masses wait for proof before they believe. The few, the rare 1%, believe first. Assume first. Act first. And because they do, the world eventually bends to match their assumption. Look at anyone who's built something extraordinary. A business. A fortune. A relationship. A legacy. They didn't start from certainty. They started from assumption. They assumed it was possible for them. They assumed they could figure it out. They assumed the outcome would justify the effort. And that assumption shaped their mindset, their persistence, their energy, and their results. This is the hidden law Hill never spelled out in bold letters. Your outer world can only expand to the size of your inner assumptions. Nothing more. Nothing less. So ask yourself. What do I need to start assuming about myself, my future, my potential, today? Because your life will rise, or fall, to meet the answer. This is one key, but if you want the whole vault, subscribe.